Many lies we tell ourselves collectively that we share in this sick, twisted society that's doing exactly what it's supposed to do, and that's enslave us. We're not living the free lives we were meant to live. Men and women should be loving each other greatly at this time to offset all that negativity that's taking place on the planet. Do you think that's happening? Do you think people are becoming more conscious? Do you think that you're becoming more conscious? These are questions that I ask myself all the time because I'm not in charge of what you do in your life. That's why all I can do is share my perspective. What you do with your life is up to you. But as far as I understand it, we're all here for a reason. There are so many things taking place, yet at the same time, we have the ability to change it physically. We have this, not so magical, but some would call it magical, ability to change the direction we're on. But do we utilize that ability to change things, to change our lives, to change our thinking, to change our ways? Do we utilize that God-given power to create the world that we really want? Are we utilizing that? And do we even know how to do that? And there's so many people that run their mouth talking about the law of attraction that seem more concerned with their own gain, their own physical pleasures of the body, than saying something or doing something that will help someone else. Perhaps a victim of war right now that doesn't have a voice. See, when we're able to cross that threshold of emotional maturity, and speak up for those that don't have a voice, those that are being raped, that are being human trafficked around the world. There's just so many different examples that I've shared with you over the years. This is a part of the awakening. Us becoming aware of so much dirt and filth that's taking place out there in the streets, out there in the ghetto, out there in the Middle East. All these different battles and struggles and conflicts are really caused by some true root causes that most of us don't ever look at. We just focus on the surface level stuff, or it becomes a racial issue. There's so many different ways people divide into camps, whether it's the system trying to get them to divide, or they're playing along in the game, not even realizing that they're playing along with the game of divide and conquer. When we start realizing we all want the same thing, we put aside our religious boxes we choose to live in, our religious boxes, and all this stuff. Once we realize we're all in this together, we can move forward and evolve into something higher. And this is about a spiritual evolution, because the level of spiritual malnutrition in this society is so obvious, but it's good that it's obvious. We are, in this day and age, with all the information that is accessible to us at our fingertips, and we all ought to be using it while we have it, can lead us, that information, to greater states of awareness. It provides the blueprints for other ways of living, other lifestyles, other languages, other ways of eating food, of flavoring food, other ways of playing music, of expressing oneself. Different forms of art, different forms of film. We've never had this information before that we know of. But as far as we know, this is the first time we've had access to so much information coming from all these different places, all over the planet, God knows where. In fact, who knows why we even know what we know, why we're so different, why our imaginations are so out there. I feel that we really are interdimensional beings living inside these human bodies. And there's a reason why some people aren't dead. There's got to be a reason why some people know things that some other people don't seem to know. There's a reason why the minority of every population seems to move away from the herd, away from the sheep. There's a reason why a certain percentage of the population is so very different. Now, it was also said that it was a small population, between 1% and 3%, that actually fought the Revolutionary War. And there's a lot of people that would like to associate themselves with the founding fathers, that in fact are more like the redcoats, the British at that time, than anything else, masquerading as revolutionaries. And you all know who Glenn Beck is, some of you. And we all know what he's doing to the movement. He's trying to destabilize it and hijack the revolution and attack real constitutionalists, attack real libertarians, so the neocon candidates that can continue to get elected. Every time the election comes, a couple days before, the attack comes on the candidate. Now, the reason I bring up Glenn Beck is because I think, in my opinion, in the conspiracy research, Constitution, libertarian movement, there is a huge focus on Glenn Beck and these people that are lying about us, that are doing so much to attack us. And it gets to a point where right now I'm looking at this going, this is the quiet before the storm. This is the time we ought to be getting prepared. This is the time we ought to be moving beyond blogging and some of the stuff, the way that we've been conducting our InfoWar battles of the previous years. This is the time to refine it into something higher, into something more evolved than what we've been doing the last couple of years. I also understand that this is also a time where a lot of people are waking up for the very first time, questioning their government for the very first time. And I warn all of you against following, mindlessly, mind you, people that would like to be your leaders, your guide through the strange world that we live in. And the stakes are so high at this time. There's so much deception going on. There's also just a lot of ignorance as to why we're in this situation, why man continues to be fighting with his own psyche at a root level, a root cause of why we're in a lot of this stuff. Man and woman fighting, all this, that's another subject. But there's always a root cause to why we're in this mess, other than just blame it on one particular president and saying one particular candidate is going to save you from yourself. And we're going to go back to Kansas. We're going to turn this car around. The sun will shine again. Everything will be fine. Money will continue again one day to grow on trees. We'll go back to the old days. It's going to be fine once so-and-so gets elected down in this state down here. For years, we've tried to invest in certain candidates. And the fact of the matter is, in the years ahead, we're going to be too broke to fight back politically. In fact, many of us already are. This facility, Portland Community Media, might not be here next year. It is very likely that this is the last year of Portland Community Media as a result of the cutbacks and the way that it is being run. Bluntly said, without getting specific, and the writing is clearly on the wall. You cannot take what you have here, this box, access to an alternative voice, for granted. What is being said, the magnitude, the power of expressing an idea that's different, an idea that might be unpopular. But the reality is, a person cannot just unhear something once they've heard it. Once this concept, this idea, enters their mind, enters their subconscious, for the very first time, they may discount it right away. They may discount it for years. Mark my words. You will remember the words that were said here, the words that came out of my mouth in the years ahead. Now, I don't believe that the end of the world is coming, but that our world is going to change in our lifetimes as we know it. How you get your food, how you stay alive, how you survive, where you're living, whether you're mobile or not. All these things are going to change dramatically. And I can't exactly say how or when, but that I do feel these changes are coming. And it's obvious, and you don't have to get biblical to see how much change is taking place in our world. But if you can distinguish between talking calmly about the dangers taking place in the future, the things coming to our country, and distinguish that from the end of the world, you can rationally take a look at how you can approach the challenges in terms